before the drill team performs, we have a special guest, Ms. Nicholas, right down here. She's part of our guidance department. I asked her to say a few words as she's gotten pretty close with many of our cadets on trips and so forth, and I'm sure you'll find her a bit humorous here.
Good evening. I'd like to thank Chief Warrant Officer Robinson and Sergeant Major McNair for having me speak this evening. At first I thought, what in the world am I going to say to these cadets and to their families? Then I decided I would reflect on the JROTC program here at Hermitage and some of the activities I have participated in. I was on the staff here when the JROTC program began at Hermitage, and we all wondered whether the class would make, and it did, and some more. You can always tell who the cadets are and who's a member of the program. They are always open for the doors for you. They always refer to you as ma'am, and generally their demeanor is evident. They are proud to be Marine JROTC cadets. One of my first experiences was riding to Washington, D.C. to view the silent drill team. It was wonderful, and as most of you know the old saying, you could hear a pin drop, and yes, you could. It was a very impressive performance that those gentlemen gave, and they must practice continuously every day, all day, much like our drill team and our color guard do here. If you ever have the opportunity to go to D.C., please take a moment to stop and see this exciting drill team. I've had the opportunity to visit air shows and see the Blue Angels perform. Last year, I really got the opportunity of a lifetime. Gunner invited me to go to boot camp with him and 40 students. That, my friends, was a real eye-opener. I was just as intimidated as the students were that first night. The drill instructors on that first day and evening, they were fussing and carrying on, but we made it through. We had to go to make our beds, and I thought this was going to be a breeze. No one told me not to bring fitted sheets. You know how it is when they go in and your bunk is supposed to be just straight like this, and they say you can't have a wrinkle in it? Well, by the time I put my sheets on, my bunk was like this. Well, we got past that, but for the next few days, we all just froze to death. It rained, it was windy, it was cold, and I kept saying, I can do this, I really can do this. But do you know, I never heard the cadets complain. They were so impressive with their demeanor and willingness to help each other. They were truly team players, helping and encouraging each other. This year I had two great opportunities. Sergeant Major McNair invited me to go to Fort Pickett for a weekend as a chaperone. What I didn't know was that the bus was going to leave us, and we had to march everywhere. It was bitter cold, and as I'm sure your children have told you, Saturday morning we got up at 5:30, waited for the National Guard buses to come pick us up. Well, you guessed it, they didn't. So we started this 1.5 mile walk up and down the hills to the mess hall, carrying our luggage. But one cadet felt pretty sorry for poor Mrs. Nicholas, and he carried my luggage, part of it anyway. You know, I always thought Sergeant Major and Gunner were my good friends, but after that death march, I thought they were trying to torture me. My last trip with the cadets was in March. We went back to boot camp at Dam Neck, and I was all excited because I knew exactly what to expect. I didn't know, though, that the barracks at Fort Story were built during World War II. That first night was so cold. The winds were gale-force winds, and at the beach, you can imagine how that was. I finally got my bunk ready that night. By the way, I didn't take fitted sheets this time. The wind was coming through the walls. My hair was blowing as if I was riding in a convertible. It was kind of funny, and we enjoyed it, but the rest of the week was perfect. The JROTC program and the instructors here at Hermitage are the very best. The leadership skills and teamwork they teach children is something they will have for a lifetime. It doesn't matter whether they go into the armed services, to college, or the workforce. They must be able to get along with their peers and be a team player. On the trips I have accompanied these cadets, I have watched them grow as a unit as well as individually. Sometimes they don't realize how close we are, and we can hear their comments and their discussions between each other. They respect their uniform and their country. Today, we hear so many negative comments about teenagers and young people. But ladies and gentlemen, after watching these young people here, your children, I don't think we have anything to worry about. They are our future. You rock.